as this goes in and converted. So we will have quite a finish to this game. Ball over the top. Yes, Eswala looking for his hat-trick and goes crashing into Gomede. Well, this is an unbelievable decision. And Victor Gomes indicating that Gomede has deliberately flown into the man. Shuffles up to it and slots it home. Top corner. Emphatic finish. And Victor Gomes has ruled, or Baroka players had encroached. Just as he strikes the ball, well, there's only one Baroka player who's gone into the box, whilst there's 4 or 5 players from Golden Arrows. Here and now at the Princess Mogogo Stadium, Golden Arrows have beaten Baroka by 3-2.
All right, welcome back. Extra time, looking at all the highlights, but then the major talking points with Mr. Spot on here. I think let's go into that one here, Ace, because the penalty appeal. Give me the lay down to me.
Before we view the footage, Rob, I need to lay down the law here.
Yes.
Because I am reliably informed that the club, Baroka, have written to the league to demand that that match be replayed.
In its entirety?
Yes.
On what grounds?
I'm reliably informed that they believe that they were robbed by the referee, that the referee took the wrong decision, that the goal should have stood, or alternatively, at least the goal should, on paper, be allowed to stand. Now, I need to explain one thing here, that the decisions of the referee on matters connected with play, including whether a goal is scored or not, and the result of the match, are 1, final, and 2, must be respected. So there is no way that when a goal is scored from an offside position, a club must write to the league and say, no, but that was offside, let's rescind that goal. Or if a goal is scored and the assistant referee says, no, there was an offside, then therefore you must write to the league and say, no, that was my goal, I want my goal. I don't care what the referee said. The decisions of the referee in matters connected with play, especially as they relate to the result of the match, are final, they are not challengeable. We need to lay down that law.
So that letter is useless?
That letter is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to change the fact that the final score was written down by the referee and the match report was submitted. So they can just endure the pain, if there is pain. We don't know yet if there was pain.
Well, they should be, because, well, for them, we're not saying that on the spot-on or not spot-on decision. We're just saying that there was pain because they feel aggrieved, and feeling aggrieved because they feel that what you're about to show is either spot-on or not spot-on. And from there, they can either submit another letter or ask for the withdrawal of the letter. But go ahead.
Okay,
sir.
Let's go ahead, Rob, and we are going to take our time unpacking this, because we first need to determine whether or not that was a penalty. That's the first thing we need to look at. Was it a penalty in the first place? Before we go back to what happened. Now look at that moment. The referee, the goalkeeper is jumping up. And obviously, you know, when you jump up, you will have a leg up because you're propelling yourself upwards. As soon as he realizes that this striker has not stopped running towards him, he actually turns his body away from the striker. At the moment of impact between them, he has completely turned away from that player. It was wrong to award a penalty because there was no foul committed by the goalkeeper. Now, let's come here. Look at where the referee is positioned. He's positioned there. He is looking for encroachment, but looking for encroachment in the wrong place. That is where he's supposed to be so that he can see encroachment of all the players. He's looking for encroachment and standing there, and at the moment the ball is kicked, there is indeed encroachment. Both sets of players, strikers and defenders, the ball goes into goal. And I want us to stop there, Rob. Many people have been discussing whether or not it's possible to have an indirect free kick when a penalty is being taken. And the answer is yes. There are specific situations where at the taking of a penalty kick, owing to certain variables and certain incidents taking place, the referee can award an indirect free kick. When an attacking player, a teammate of the penalty taker, encroaches, let's just take one player, one Baroka player going in encroaching. The referee watches the encroachment. That's an offense, but it's a suspended sentence. He carries it in his mind because he can only decide whether or not to bring down that suspended sentence and how the sentence should be after seeing what happens to the ball. When the ball goes into goal, it must be a retake. It is only when there's a miss or the ball is defended that encroachment is punishable by the awarding of an indirect free kick. Now, in that instance, the ball went into goal. One, even if there was only the Baroka player that encroached, he should have ordered a retake. But in this instance, both sets of players offended the laws of the game, straight away retake. And had he taken that backwards position, he would have seen both sets of players encroaching. And he would have known that when both sets of players encroach, he must order a retake. Now, in his mind's eye, he saw one player from the attacking team encroaching, and he was wrong on a point of law. It's not an error of judgment. It's not a case of saying, I showed a yellow card instead of a red, or a red instead of a yellow, or it's an error of judgment. You know, I thought that the tackle was a foul. He's wrong on a point of law. And that is inexcusable. He knows it. He knows wherever he is now, he knows that as a top referee, you know, referee of the season, he is never supposed to be found wanting on a point of law.
And that was a point of law.
That was a point of law.
Before we go back, because what I'm going to do, I know you've paused it here. I'm just going to ask them if they can just take it back to the point, to a point, or you can just quickly rewind it there. I know you've got the... Just take it back to just before the ball is kicked. To just before the ball is kicked. 2 frames back. 2 frames back. If we just take it back some more. Wind up. Oh, Ganja, you paused it there. So all I want to take it back to is literally asking you one question. His duty. His duty is to do what? Is it to watch here? Is it to watch there? Is it to watch him? Is it to watch him? What is it? What is his duty? Because, like, you've positioned referee where you were supposed to be so that he can then see both this side. Let me just do this so that we can try and illustrate this as best as we can, so that he can see here. So this is the part where he was not able to see.
Yes.
Because his main focus was on that group.
That group.
Of players that were there. So now that we've been able to establish that he was in the wrong position, number one.
Yes.
So he was not privy to the people that were here. Encroachment is a big English word. At what point, what is encroaching? Because even from the start, you see feet on line. Should they be behind the line?
They should be behind the line, Rob, because remember, the line belongs to that area that it defines.
Right.
That it is a boundary of. So when you have a foot on the line, it means you are already
So it's already an encroachment.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is even before the ball was kicked.
Even before the ball was kicked.
And that's what I wanted to establish, though, because he can still make a call, can't he?
The duty of that man there is to watch the movement of the goalkeeper.
If he's moving off the line?
Yes.
Okay.
If he's moving off the line, and will then have to advise the referee. So he's got one eye on the ball, because that's what determines whether or not the goalkeeper moved before the kick was taken.
Right.
He's got another eye here, but also on those situations where the ball strikes the crossbar or the upright and the ground, he has got to determine whether the ball crossed the line. So those are the two things. But in relation to encroachment, it is the duty of the referee,
right,
and only the referee, to watch for encroachment.
Okay, let me bring in the gentleman here, because they've never been as good and as silent as they are right now. So, Juicy Lips, let me start off with you. We've illustrated, this has been a much talked about issue. What do you make of it thus far?
First of all, I think as having been a goalkeeper and a goalkeeper coach, and there's a whole lot that we as coaches help the goalkeepers to learn coordinated movements in approaching a certain type of ball that comes into the area. And what the goalkeeper did there was exceptional, because as he runs forward, you got to be well coordinated to be able to jump with the one leg and lift the other to give yourself a bit of leverage to get some height, which is what he did very well. And it would have been almost impossible for him to jump with two legs. It can happen, but in that situation, we also advise them that they need to get that knee up to protect themselves from the oncoming player, not necessarily to injure him, but to protect themselves. And I think in every aspect, the goalkeeper was exceptional there. Obviously, even as he shifted his knee away from the oncoming player, which I thought was brilliant in basically making a statement that he didn't mean to hit the opposition player.
All right, but the biggest lesson that we're trying to deal with right now is the fact that Ace, Mr. Spot On, says to us today, on Monday, that a wrong decision of law was taken, right? Farouk, you quite au fait with that? Do you have any disagreement with what Ace has said?
No, absolutely not. I was a little concerned. I watched this game live, and my biggest concern was, did the rules of the game change? Because we were taught when we did coaching courses, we do cover refereeing as well, that a retake should be taken in a case when there's encroachment by the team of the penalty taker. And if it's as a consequence that the goal is missed and there's an encroachment by the defending team, there should also be a retake. But now, obviously, this didn't apply, and that was my concern. But I think, with hindsight now, you realize that maybe Gomez realized that the penalty that was given was not the right decision. And sometimes it's human nature that it happens, because he invented this new law that it was encroachment and the penalty shouldn't be retaken, because a referee of his quality, Spot On, obviously knows exactly what you discussed now.
No, I wouldn't agree with you there, Farouk. I don't think that he took the decision to award an indirect free kick because he realized
they made a mistake.
That he had made a mistake with the decision. I think we must blame this show. And I'll tell you why. Remember, at every given penalty that we've been analyzing here, we've been talking about why referees are not stamping their authority on encroachment. And he was presented with a unique opportunity to be the first to implement a very obscure element of the law. Now, when he stands there, which is where he was standing, he was looking for that opportunity, and he got it horribly wrong. So I don't think it had anything to do with correcting the error of awarding the penalty.
If that's the case, Ace, obviously you are saying now he doesn't understand the rule of the law of the game, because he has to apply the law. And as a layman, I know the law of encroachment simply as, if I am taking the penalty and my teammate encroaches and I score, it's a retake. So surely we're spinning it a little bit to say, okay, let me put it aside. I take back the fact that he did it to make up for the mistake. What else is the reason then? There's no valid reason.
Yeah, the mistake again, and I hear your point, and I was going to ask Ace this, is that sometimes you find referees in a situation where they're trying to balance a mistake they realize. Like you called it, you said it should not have been a penalty in the first place, right? So by it not being a penalty in the first place, he has seen encroachment. He has talked encroachment, but he has not applied the law of what that means, which means a retake. So he has taken a decision to say, maybe I realize that it should not have been a penalty. I have spotted encroachment there. That is it. So to equal the fact that you're not able to make that goal count, therefore negates the fact that I took that wrong decision to give the penalty in the first place. Wash my hands, let's go off.
Well, we can speculate, Rob, because we don't know. We haven't spoken to him. We don't know why he has taken that decision. But I'll tell you the reason why most referees chicken out of taking any kind of decision whatsoever when it comes to encroachment. That's because there are 12 variables that you've got to factor in your mind, that the law behoves you to apply at the taking of a penalty kick. that most of which relate to encroachment and other offenses committed by the players. So in having that split second to factor in those 12 different variables, referees choose to just chicken out of taking the decision. And here is Victor Gomes. He wants to make a decision. And I don't think it's related to the earlier decision of awarding the penalty. When I looked at the body language, even as he awarded the penalty, he was convinced that it was a correct decision. Even as he stands there to manage the taking of the penalty, his body language still says, I'm happy with the decision that I took. But he stands there looking for encroachment. And if we were to go to the live footage and listen to the moment when he blew his whistle, you will find that he blew his whistle even before the ball crossed the line, which means he stood there, wanted encroachment, wanted perhaps the glory of being the first referee to apply that element of the law, and got it horribly wrong.
And also, Mr. Sporton, I'm glad that I'm going to go with you this time. What Robert is trying to say is what Mr. Gomes did was trying to get two wrongs to make a right. It doesn't work like that, Robert Marawa. Two wrongs don't make a right.
No, William. I think William's in the wrong studio. No, seriously, I think William's in the wrong studio. Huh? I think
they're trying to
what are you doing? Are you doing Super Rugby?
Was trying to balance the issue. It doesn't work
we
like
were presenting it as an alternative, as a potential, and you, William, have seen that happen in your playing career.
Yes, but Robbie, can I
we
just
are
say,
the last ones to in this platform here to be able to promote that.
Oh, Robbie, can I just say,
you're not promoting it, you're highlighting it, William.
Okay, continue.
What I want to just say, and
William, okay.
Rob, as much as Ace is giving us all the variables of what he was trying to do, possibly be the first, the pioneer with this particular encroachment, I still have a problem with that, Bryce, because the law was not applied. And that law has now disadvantaged a team who's fighting for their lives in the Premiership. For me, that is very, very important to take into account. As much as we want to empathize with the referee, we need to also empathize with the victims. Okay. And that is why I'm saying the law was not applied from a high-quality referee.
No, I think, Rob, you know, a couple of shows ago, we had footage here of a throw-in where an assistant referee lifted his flag to indicate for an offside when the player received the ball directly from a throw-in. ABSA Premiership referee, running the line, wrong on a point of law. It happens. It happened here. It's embarrassing to the refereeing fraternity. It should not be happening. I don't think that there is any kinder way of saying it than at this level. You are not supposed to get any point of law as horribly wrong as Victor did on the day.
All right, let's play it on, because just so that people see how this all ended, you know, so just press play there quickly, Ace, because you're back to him now being in his original place, so you can see he's only watching this set of players and not here. So we've paused it just for now so that he then blows, then steps forward and he points to the perpetrator of the encroachment, not seeing the ones this side. But regardless, even if it's just the one set, still the application is wrong.
Still the application is wrong, not a spot-on decision, Nero.
Okay, not spot-on as well. Now, Charles Kuele says, we understand that referee's decision is final, but it's about time that they get suspended for the wrong decisions. Referees continue. Do they get suspended? Do they get put on the chill just for a couple of games, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, maybe a couple of years?
No, let me tell you now, if I were in his position, now, you know, with the season almost ended, I would refuse to take any more matches.
From now on?
Even if the appointments committee would appoint me to an NFD match, you know, an inconsequential match in the NFD, I would say I need time off, because for him, he's a FIFA referee, one of the most respected referees in the world, coming from this country, to get it so horribly wrong on a point of law. It's a time for reflection.
But do we have enough reserve, though? Because you got, for example, midweek.
It can't be about that, Rob.
But that's what I'm asking. Then what do they do? Do they bring? You got matches that are going to be played all at the same time. Do we have enough?
Well, I think we do have enough quality to do the last 2 rounds of matches. And I think that Victor being Victor, he will not accept appointment. I might be wrong. You know, I think if you look at the appointments committee as well, for something like that, they wouldn't want to immediately thrust him into the spotlight. I think he must take a breather. I think he must come back, revitalized for next season, whether or not he's suspended.
Now, Khumutsamalefe says, I've never heard the word encroach being used so many times. Mr. Referee encroached on the wrong side of the law, indeed. And Ulaki says, for how long should this go on? Victor must be punished. Enough is enough. And Tall Man Mahula says, well, please ask Mr. Spartan about Real Madrid's first goal against Sevilla. I think we're going to be getting that footage later on. It is important that you make mention of that. Like we said, it's extra time, extra events, extra incidents, extra knowledge. Should I carry on? Okay. Now, the other one. Remember. This here. We've still got in our minds the yellows that were not given in the previous game. So if we look at here, Ace, the referee is not shy. So he does the right thing here at the end.
He does the right thing because when they remonstrate with him, it's the dissent that we expected, the other referee to deal with.
That's after the final whistle.
That's after the final whistle, but the referee still is on the field of play, still has the authority. That's why he calls that player back and says, show me your number, because I've got to book you for dissent. Correct decision to do that, because he may have gotten that decision horribly wrong, but his decision must be respected, and players must not do that.
And even more so, just so that we re-emphasize the point, and we might just see it very quickly again if we can, play it at the back. Not the Sundowns one. Let's play the same one back here, is that the whistle had gone. Game was over. Player had jacket on, right? So that is what I want to emphasize, is that jacket was on. It was a cold day. It was raining countrywide, right? And he asked the player to remove the jacket so that he can see the number and he can see who it is that he's punishing. So he goes to that extent as well. So there he is explaining. Obviously something is said. He says, go away. They remonstrate, go away, and he says, okay. And this man understands Zulu, Sotho, anything, Victor, so you can't try and swear at him in a different language. So there he is, saying, remove the jacket. I want to see who you are. And he gives him a yellow after the game.
And if he was already sitting on a first yellow, he would have shown him a red card, which would rule him out for the next 2 matches.
But the consistency or the lack thereof in the other game, where the same thing was not punished, is what we're dealing with here. All right, we're going to move on right now, and we will make sure that you understand and hear what the coaches had to say. You can only imagine what their thoughts were.
The job is not over, but this was very important. It was very important that we collect these 3 points. As we said, that we have to beat them so that at least we jump 2 people, regardless of game in hands or whatever, but at least you get on top of 2 people. Really credit to my players. They played so well. We contained them. We forced them to play different kind of football, and they couldn't combine properly because I think we were well structured.
Yeah, we have to fight. We have to keep fighting, because if we're giving up now and then we are not helping our situation. But it's just a matter of us now making sure that we fight for this team. We fight for all the people like in the Eastern Cape, making sure that we get out of this situation. It's not a matter of us now being nice about the situation. It is a matter of us making sure that we get back together and make sure that we win our next coming game.
Yeah, that's been our Achilles heel this season, Phumlani. I think maybe a little bit of inexperience in the team, but if we're a little bit more clinical on our break and counter attacks, we'll score plenty more goals, and it's an area we're working on very, very hard. We're so quick out the blocks, and we've got throw numbers forward and lots of pace in the team, but when we approach that final third, it all goes wrong. It's something that we work on at training, and I'm sure with more experience, more games behind this young team, they'll only get better.
I think it was another day when you give away simple goals, like small stupid mistakes, We've been doing that for a while now. Against Sundowns, we saw what happened. Even today, you get the game on your hands, and you just give away a goal just because you don't want to respect the principle of defense. And then you're on top of the game, but the score is against you. Then you work hard, you try to get a goal back, but you are too slow in defense, so it's always going to be difficult to come back into the game.